everyone, and welcome to Q7 PokerStars VR's answer to the You in America and Loose Woman in the UK. Every week we are joined by a panel of 7 beautiful ladies and a special guest who together will attempt to solve the big questions of the week. On this week's players panel of glorious queens, we have owner of the world's most tilting laugh. It smells so good. We have Baby Bubbles, hoping that her glitzy tiara will be enough to distract all the players from their hands. Queen of England, it's Baby Bubbles. Here to keep her crown in place, defending her win from last week's Q7 stream, it's Drown the Witch. Planning to ship it tonight by distracting Stapes with flirtatious compliments and a hand on his lap, Queen of Arizona, Pretty and Punk. And taking the night off from DJing in VR and recording our second camera angle, many thanks to Queen of California, Natty Ice. We also have Diva Esquire, who is refusing to reveal her identity so no one can key her car after tonight's slow rolls. So I am the Growler, owner of PokerStars VR School, PokerStars VR News Twitch and YouTube channel, and your host for tonight, and I am the queen of fricking everything. And seated to my left, we have tonight's special guest.
Here we go. Here I am, look at this. In my princess costume. They told me that I couldn't have a wand because wands were for fairies, but guess what? I'm a princess. I will have a bleeping wand if I want a bleeping wand.
Feeling thoroughly at home surrounded by beautiful women, the self-proclaimed hooker with a heart of gold, king of comedy, commentary, and condoms, it's Mr. Joe Stapleton.
The turn.
Hello, thank you. That's by far the longest I've ever let a woman speak without interrupting. That was very difficult.
Technical issues at this end. Okay, so our topic of discussion tonight is poker etiquette. And who best to have us display beautiful, polite poker etiquette than Joe Stapes? So, yeah, I mean, what could go wrong, guys? Wait and see.
I mean, I feel like I'm not really neither the best or worst person to talk poker etiquette. I will say that I've never had any real problems at the poker table except for in VR.
That is true. That's probably very true. We have different etiquette issues in VR. Definitely.
Yeah, it's like a lot harder because, you know, obviously they do a great job with some facial expressions, but you still miss a lot of contacts with eye contact and smiling and, you know, just sort of it's harder to, when you're joking with people, sometimes it's harder to know if you're trying to be a jerk or not.
Yeah, it's generally quite easy to know when they start throwing the chips in your face and hookers at you. What's going on in chat? Who's here today? Cupid! Sorry he's late, the building was on fire. Okay, well last night he told me his building was blowing down in the wind. Tonight it's on fire. I'm wondering if he's been eating curry and farting flames. We've got
That's a call. Showdown.
Hey, Retna! Retna is in chat, everybody. Say hi to Retna.
Hello.
Hey, Retna.
I'm
Hi, Retna.
What are the etiquette rules, Joe, on whining about the hand that you just lost?
See, this is one of those things where I like to say, do as I say, not as I do, because
I'm now playing the violin for my sad loss of 2 top pair to the straight of Drown the Witch, who expertly sucked down every last one of my chips.
I whine all the time, and I know how stupid it sounds when people do it, and I still do it.
Bet.
I think that comes from having a creative brain, Joe. That's my excuse. Of course, I complain.
Well, most comedy is complaining, right? It's like things going well for you isn't funny.
So, Joe, there are things we do here in VR that would never be acceptable in a casino, but seem like they might be acceptable in VR, like splashing your chips. What are your thoughts on that?
In real life or in the here?
Fold.
Like, obviously.
Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I just think that, like, you know,
Oh.
when folks do it in real life, what it does is it kind of gives them away as really not knowing what they're doing. Like when I see someone splashing
Player
chips, I'm
folds.
like, oh, you've only ever watched poker on TV. You don't really understand that this isn't a real thing that people do.
Player folds.
Well, that's one of the awesome things about VR is all the
Fold.
stuff you can do that, you know, you can't do in real life. It's a
How
nice
about
blend
showing
of
your
things.
cards after the hand? Is that you would never do that in real life, or but it's not.
No, I show my
violation of
cards
etiquette.
constantly.
Okay, great.
I was told that only bad
Yeah,
players show their cards constantly. Is that not true?
Well, there you go. Story checks out.
Fold.
I don't like it when
That's
people
a
show their
call.
cards in the middle of the hand when they don't want to get their aces cracked or something. That's a little
Fold.
etiquette
You know what I fucking hate?
pet peeve.
I
Call.
fucking hate it when people are like, "Oh,
Check.
you got this. I'm gonna let you
Flop.
have it," and then they fucking call you, and then they win with
Player
fucking
check.
nothing because you're bluffing.
Check.
That's the worst. Don't say
Check.
you're gonna let me have it. Don't say that.
Bet.
Yeah,
I
all of
do
those
that all the
things
time.
are like, I probably shouldn't make
Call.
this call, or I know I'm behind here. Like, just fold. Just fold then.
I usually sit there and go, oh, I'm going to give you this because I love you, and then call with the nuts. It's my favorite.
Got it. So you're exactly the person Natty's complaining about.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. I think that's why she chose that.
Yeah. The one time that I almost
check.
won first fucking plays in this whole app.
Come
you
on,
just-
do you want a
that's
microphone
what
to
we-
preach
that's
this?
the-
check.
Yeah, no. The first week you come and you take
Oh.
first place right out from underneath me.
I did.
So do you guys
I'm
think
not
that?
sorry.
You pull the violin
Showdown.
away. It's not
One
a guitar. It's gentle. People used to do on guitar, not violin. Violin. the
Oh
violin.
man, oh man. Hold on, we gotta have another wine session here. You're gonna need a bigger violin.
Thank you. I'm almost dead, and I'm almost dead on the table here. with my
Tiva, you have to
pocket
stay here
king
till the
set
end of this sit and go, so you better start doing some
no.
folding.
I wouldn't dream of going anywhere. Don't
We're,
worry.
we're-
I'm still planning on mounting a comeback here with my $70.
You know what really
That's a
bugs me
call.
the most that happens in VR
Player
that isn't
folds.
allowed in real life is checking
Raise.
with the nuts on the river. People do that in VR
Call.
all the time. And
I don't,
I'm sorry. I'm
9
sorry.
times out of 10, it's
That's one of the
fine.
few rules in real life that I
just
actually
knows.
don't
She just knows
really care for,
Player
Do you
folds.
not? Why not?
because I feel like you should be able
On
to check and
Check.
see for information
Check.
what the person has.
Check.
If you
But
don't, if you think you're never gonna get called, like I think that the number of times that it's stopping collusion is like so infinitesimally small compared
Check.
to other reasons why you
Return.
might want to just check back the nuts.
I can see that, but I think it's just generally really bad
And I also-
etiquette. It's almost an angle
Bet.
shoot to go, I have the nuts. Oh no, I have nothing. Bet into me. It's,
Fold.
I think it's borderline
Call.
angle, and I don't like it.
Wait, are you
Oh.
saying to check if you're first to act? You don't like people checking the nuts?
Yeah. That's not allowed in real life, is
Well,
it?
no, I mean
I
that's
don't play
not a
live, so-
rule anywhere. It's only
Oh, is it not? I thought that was
it's
a
only a
you
rule
couldn't
live
check-
that you have
Are
to raise the nuts on the river if you're last to act.
I see. Okay,
That's a
okay.
call.
So this is my
It's perfectly
latest poker
acceptable
knowledge
to
coming out.
check.
Check.
Wait, so you
Player
think that a check raise is an angle shoot?
No. Okay. So let's say we've got to the river now, and she has Jack 8, and she checks there. And there's only 2 of us in the hand, and she checks to me on that river with Jack 8.
Yeah.
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 It just feels
On
so
you.
dirty that I mean it's not an angle shoot, but it feels so
That's
dirty and
That's like
underhand.
that's an incredibly important part of the game is to check a strong hand
win.
and be able to check raise
I
somebody.
agree that, but I agree that, but I think you shouldn't be able to
Lines
check the
going
absolute
up.
nuts. 'Cause
There's
it's
a
just not
there's a
British.
rule that if you're
Feels not British.
That's a call.
there's a rule in tournament poker that if you
Fold.
have the absolute nuts
Call.
and it is checked to you, that you are not allowed to check behind, that you have to bet or raise the
Fold.
nuts. And that is a rule. Sometimes you'll get a penalty for that. I don't like that rule either for the reasons I just stated. I think you should be able to check and see the other player's hand, but also
Fold.
I think it punishes people who don't know the rules too harshly. Like if you don't know that rule, and then you get a 1 orbit penalty because you didn't raise the nuts, like they can right the fuck off.
How do I know I have the nuts though? Maybe I thought someone got caught always.
How do you know if you've had the nuts? The nuts is the very best hand that you could possibly have.
Nuts, right? It's only
theoretical
literally that
nuts.
hand that would be the largest possible hand from what's made
Right.
on the board, right?
If the best hand is quad queens, and that's what you have, and you don't bet or raise when you're in position on the river, you will get a penalty in a tournament. If you have a straight flush, but there's a bigger straight flush out there, then no, you can't. It's just, whatever is the absolute nuts on the board. If you have that hand, you can get a penalty for it, for not raising.
Okay, so Diva had a question, and it was, what's the difference between, was it slow rolling and nit rolling?
Slow play.
Slow roll.
Oh, slow play and slow play. Okay.
You know what it is, or you're asking that question?
Well, I had to have it explained to me, so I thought it might be useful for other people to hear it too.
I kind of feel like no matter what happens at this table, I'm mansplaining.
Well, this is very true,
You're fine
Joe.
if we've asked you. If we've asked you for it, then it's okay.
Yes, it's not mansplaining if someone has requested the explanation.
Don't worry, we'll cut you off real quick when it turns into mansplaining.
I was accused of mansplaining at a poker table once, and it really enraged me.
That was probably on purpose.
I think my main goal tonight is to make you feel awkward.
Was it successful in throwing off your play?
Not really. It was just embarrassing because unfortunately no one at the table had her side, and then I felt worse.
Was she the only female at the
She
table?
asked me if I knew Brian Koppelman, and I went, yeah, he wrote Rounders, and she went, wow, you don't have to mansplain to me, and I was like,
oh wow, okay, that's not mansplaining.
That is not.
That is
no,
not
that wasn't
mansplaining.
She must have been pissed.
So anyway, a slow play is just when you have a strong hand that you play weakly, which apparently Growler thinks is an angle. A slow roll,
I think that's fine until you get to the river with the nuts. That's. I'm just saying.
And then a slow roll is when the hand is over and you pretend like you don't have a very strong hand, and you take a long time. You are slow to roll your cards over to show the winning hand. That is a slow roll, and that'll get you punched in the mouth.
The turn.
But the problem is in VR that a lot of players haven't been playing long enough to be able to make decisions correctly, and they will nit roll a lot.
The river.
So a nit roll is something different entirely from. It's like in between those two things, which a nit roll is when somebody takes a very long time to make what would be an easy decision for a lot of people with a very strong hand.
Exactly, but it looks like slow rolls. And in VR, there's a lot of people get really upset with other people for slow rolling when actually they're nit rolling, and that's a common issue that no one has found a solution for in VR, other than everyone.
Yeah, I mean you should be happy that people are nit rolling you. It means that they considered folding a really strong hand. Like you can't get that upset about it. Like people, it's an etiquette thing that is an issue in real life and VR everywhere, where people want to be dickheads to folks who don't know what they're doing. Like you want those people playing poker.
Fold.
Yeah.
Hello.
Fold.
Sorry.
Did I win?
You did.
And I got the Valentine.
Hey! Dear Joe Stapleton was it? I'm not sure. When we first met and you told me you were kind of a big deal, I didn't believe you until you sent me the YouTube montage of you doing a lot of really funny things. Now I believe you are just as funny as you say you are. Love, your friend, Pretty.
Thank you, Pretty. I have a Valentine for you.
Fold.
Roses are red, violets are blue. One of these days, I'll tell my girlfriend about you.
Raise.
Are you gonna feed me?
Yeah.
How's this for etiquette? How about?
I know you're feeding another player at the table.
You know, it's what I need to tell you a story. I was in the casino yesterday, okay? I was playing. And then the guy on my left, I have king 10, he had queen 10, the flop was queen something. 10,
One of
after the
those
10,
for
right?
you.
He bet I was worried about his queen, so I keep looking at him. And then he just showed his queen to me. I
Win or
didn't even
lose.
need to ask.
You still
Does he have a queen?
Your feminine royals. He showed you his whole hand without you even asking.
This is it. Chip in a chair. This is my last gasp. Here it is.
Oh no!
Good luck.
I forgot to say also that there is a bit of a bonus on this table. If you win a hand with Queen 7 suited, you win 10 million from my bankroll.
Player folds.
Oh wow.
Oh,
How do you make that
Why
happen?
you say that? Queen 7 suited. All right.
Queen 7 suited.
Oh god.
Player folds. Fold. Call.
Look at that.
I don't know
They
how you
all
make
want
that
a piece of
happen.
me. They all
But
tried to isolate, but no, it didn't work.
You're gonna sextuple up.
Bet.
I so want to call this. I don't know if it's a good idea.
Definitely is. You should call all in. Just shove. I'll let you have this one,
I have a
Natty.
bad feeling.
I'll let you. Because I love you.
Shut up.
I'll let you have it.
Shut up.
Fold.
I hate you.
And
I need
the
more
turn.
Go
sleep.
10
spades.
versus queen. There's
Oh
no
no!
spade.
Come on, ace.
Oh.
doomed.
I'm sorry, not sorry, Diva. Good game. Good game.
Queens? Are you kidding me?
And
You gotta win
Diva
with the queens.
Esquire
Wait, was
is
your
eliminated.
Insane.
In
Growler,
eighth
was your
place.
queen a spade? Because there was a 7 spade out there.
That doesn't
mean
count.
you're
You
close?
have to have.
First on the $1 million sit and go table. That's it. You've ruined my week, Growler.
I'm sorry. You have to have Queen 7 on your hold cards. These are hold cards.
Got it. All right, thanks for clarifying the rules.
Baby Bubbles has a fantastic question. I'm not sure if Stapes will know, but Baby Bubbles wants to know what's worse, the Nuts IMO versus Windward situation or the Tony G versus Phil Hellmuth situation.
On you.
Okay, so you guys can give me a little context on this. What happened with Windward?
I don't know.
So Windward and Nuts had a falling out in PokerStars VR. They had a big bust up. Windward is very English, gentleman, polite, and a very good poker player. And Nuts is nuts.
Not.
Nuts is French. Let's start there.
He's a troll.
He's French. He's a mathematician. He's arrogant. And he's got a giant fucking stack, and he pushes the hell out of it 100% of the time.
They had a big
You already
bust
said that he
up.
was French.
French, yeah, that's
He
enough.
plays every hand with an opening raise of $500,000.
Minimum.
Every hand, no matter how bad it is.
And
Player folds.
they took this big bust up to real life, to Discord, to Twitter, everywhere possible. And everyone enjoyed it very much, except for, I think, Windward.
But didn't it result in Windward's retirement from VR poker?
That's true. He retired, he left the game.
I dropped my boots.
Check.
And I don't think he's coming back. He's officially had himself banned from Discord now because he ends up being sucked back in by Nuts' trolling. Nuts tags him, so yeah, he's been banned, so he can't come back. He went on full life tilt, I think. And we love Windward, it's a shame. Yeah, I think that's an hilarious
Oh no,
question.
the violin.
But if he's back then, he would take my chips, so
Well,
maybe.
So
you
I-
know, he was good for the game. He really helped educate people. He was like Growler in that way, where he did try to improve people's game. So that it's sad that he's not here anymore in that regard.
It is sad, but I'll say that, look, this is a game,
Raise.
and if it's not fun for you, you shouldn't play. If someone's irritating you, if someone's like making your life worse off because it gets under your skin that much, you know, there's still not to rip on the whole VR thing, but there's a whole world out there of other things we can be doing. If this isn't
Where was that?
if this isn't
Check.
bringing us joy, then let's just move on.
Yeah, Mary Kondo the shit out of your life and do what sparks joy.
Yeah. On the same.
But it did illuminate one of the ongoing debates in the game, which is whether we're playing real poker or not, right? Which is a common conversation that we have.
That's a call.
Well, the problem was Nuts was trying to encourage and develop a culture of real poker. Sorry, Windward was trying to do that, whereas Nuts is just trying to enjoy himself by trolling.
Check.
but yeah, we lost the wrong person. But that's, I mean, it is what it is. What were you going to say, Stapes?
Well, there's also the other side of that is like, look, I can't say because I'm not in the situation, but I'm inclined to be like, yeah, maybe you should have thicker skin than have some guy be able to piss you off to the point where you have to like rage quit an entire community.
Yeah.
Raise.
I don't know. I'm more on Windward's side, actually.
Okay, and then the other thing is this, like, for Nuts, right? Like, just why bother this guy? Like, leave him alone. Don't be a dick. Like, just be a nice person. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
I mean, did the whole turning someone into a dummy thing happen? I mean, maybe we could have saved Windward had that update happened sooner.
Well, the problem
if he could have just dummied Nuts.
The problem was that it's impossible to play a table with Nuts because sometimes he'll just sit and raise 5 million pre every hand. So that table will fall apart really quickly and people will make a new table and he'll just join that table and do the same thing.
Yeah, that's just kind of being an ass. If people don't want to play with you, you shouldn't play with them.
Fold.
But what about psychological warfare in the real world on the poker table? I mean,
that happens.
There are some players who are kind of famous for, being jerks. I mean, how much of that is within bounds?
That's a really good question. I have my opinion, but I don't think I'm right. I
can't help it. I'm playing the cards.
There are guys like Will Kassouf and Tony G. who kind of make that their thing. It doesn't happen as much in real life as you'd think because you still have that.
No, I'm going.
You still have that necessity to look people in the eye. It's a lot easier to behave that way.
I'm all in with
in VR world, and also, it's
the flop.
When Nuts is.
Oh,
there we go.
Fuck.
The turn.
Come on, give me a king. Come on.
Here's the river.
And
chop it up.
Good game, Natty.
Oh, we're sharing a straight. We're sharing
She's
a
still
straight.
in.
What the hell?
Oh, yeah, it's split.
Oh my
So you think it doesn't happen very much in the real world, so it's not really much of a question.
It happens very infrequently in the real world, especially at higher stakes. Those sorts of people typically aren't very good at poker, and they can't get to the higher levels.
There are people who deliberately will tank fold every hand at a table in tournaments to tilt other players at high levels. That happens on the EPT. It's a bit of a.
I don't think they're tank folding to tilt people. I think that anyone who's doing that specifically to upset people is generally just not.
That's a call.
Not going to make it that far in tournaments very often. The people who are now there are lots of people who tank fold, just because they're like inconsiderate, but they're not doing it on purpose, and that does tilt people. But they're not doing it for that reason. They're just doing it because that's how they choose to play, which is fairly inconsiderate.
Fold.
I might need an explanation of what it means to tank fold.
It just means, like, let's say you have a very trivial decision in front of you, like you're under the gun and you have 8-3, and then you sit there and wait for 30 seconds and then finally fold.
Yes, okay, got it. Yes, that became the subject of some discussion in Discord as well, between Nuts and another player.
But again, I don't think that person. We're talking about
different
Zaf?
though when you're at the table with a bunch of friends and you're not deliberately wasting everyone's time. You're having a conversation with
you're
people
just talking
and nobody else
fun.
really cares.
That's the difference. So what happens is Zaf is very often doing stuff behind the scenes. She's on Discord helping people. She's communicating with the devs while she's in the game. And sometimes it'll take her 5, 6, 7 seconds to look at her cards, then she'll think about it, make a decision and fold. But there's a difference between that and tank folding, and what Nuts did is he timed her for a while. He counted up the average seconds it took her to make a decision, and then he calculated, he looked at how many hands she played.
Videos.
Yeah, he posted videos of it. He calculated how many hands she played and therefore how many hours of time she'd wasted of other people's time and made a big issue about it on Discord.
Showdown.
And it was a really awful thing to do.
I think if a guy goes through all the trouble to make that, I think if a guy goes, oh, sorry, Drown the Witch.
Player folds.
I think if somebody goes through all the trouble to make that video, he has no right to complain about someone wasting his time.
Exactly.
That's an
I mean, how much more time did he waste fucking putting together?
Good game. So we have lost Drown the Witch in 7th, which leaves 6 players remaining. And Chipstacks at the moment have... Oh, I'm in 2nd, I'm not in the lead. Stapes is in 1st. How has that happened? How is Stapes in 1st?
I fucked with this hand yesterday.
Coming in hot.
We have Stapes in 1st with myself in 2nd, and the short stack is Natty Ice with 45.
I'm so dumb. Give me something.
I told you I fucked with this hand yesterday.
Showdown.
I just assumed that it was some fucking stupid hand. Smells so good. I swear to God.
So we talked about assholes.
And that's Natty Ice first in
What about ganging up on people?
Oh, she's still in. Sorry, Natty Ice is still in.
I fell
I love you.
I told you on my chat. I told you I lose backhand. My first buy-in is jack.
Well, I mean, you deserve, like, you fucking kill it when you have a good bankroll to go in there, because whenever you have a good bankroll, you're fucking unstoppable.
Player check.
No, I
So
don't.
true.
Here's the flop.
No, I don't. So tough though yesterday.
So Joe, in PokerStars VR, the social component is an element of it, and there are a lot of people who are friends, and occasionally there's somebody who's a big asshole, and people will gang up on the asshole to try to knock him off of the table. Not through collusion, not through revealing hands or anything like that, but let's say through targeting a player. What are your thoughts on that?
I just want to state now I've never been part of this ever. My reputation is squeaky clean.
Oh.
Man, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I guess, I mean, if you're not colluding, there's really nothing you can do about it. There's really you're not breaking any rules. And part of playing poker is having a target on your back, you know, like when there's a bounty, the same thing happens.
Check. Showdown. 3 of a kind.
Back in the game, boys. I mean, ladies.
Back in the game.
Ladies and one boy.
There used to be, when online poker first came out, there was a feature that you could vote people off the table. If you were playing in a cash game.
I remember something like this.
Yeah, sometimes I wish we had that here.
Yeah, so I don't know. It is weird because in VR people can be bigger jerks than they normally would be otherwise. People just wouldn't behave that way in a real casino in real life. So maybe there does need to be some kind of...
I've had the opposite experience, and like I learned how to play poker in VR, and then I went to a real place to play poker. And people, it's like I was fumbling with my chips. It clearly looked like I'd never played a game in my life. Like I was like, I didn't know how to call because like everything's done for you here, right? And people, like, one guy even said what I was doing looked retarded, and I still ended up walking home with $1,000 from 100 that night. But like, I don't know, like if that's how they talk to other men or whatever. But
no, that's a misogyny thing.
I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm happy I won.
Player folds.
No, men are way more likely to criticize women in casinos and in real life anywhere. Like the whole airplane, the guy punching the back of that woman's chair, like he just wouldn't do that to a man. Everyone, you know, men feel big and strong by bullying women.
I guess that happens to me a lot because I don't get intimidated by that at all because I'm used to it, and I don't get offended because I'm just like, well, you're just stupid. Like, you know, like
That's a call.
I kind of let it slide a lot. I feel like people always mention that to me. They're like, did you just what the fuck, you know?
So that's an admirable quality to like let it slide, but I think that's part of the reason why people do it also, because they expect that women are going to let it slide. Whereas if someone said that to me, like I wouldn't fight them, I wouldn't threaten them,
No,
but I'd be like, hey man, that's not a very nice thing to say. I don't know why you're being such a jerk.
I don't let it slide. I just don't get mad. You know, I'll be like, hey, fuck you, bitch. Like, and then just keep doing what I'm doing. It just, I can't get sidetracked or offended or triggered every single time somebody does that shit to me. It's gotten to that point. But I think that pisses them off more because I'm just like not getting all scared and.
I can't really speak to what's going on in those people's minds because it's so far from a way that I would behave. So I don't know what the fuck is happening.
Natty, I'm really curious about what you said though, that you basically learned to play here and then took that to the real world. Do you feel like that's a good model for women? Because I feel like I kind of do. I think the women players in this game are good, and I think there's more of them that you find in the real world. And I do feel like people could get comfortable playing here and then take that to the real world.
Well,
what do you
listen,
think?
I had never played a game of poker in my life, and the first time I walked into a casino on my birthday, I won $1,000. You know, and I totally destroyed a table full of men, and they were actually getting pissed. They were like, she keeps catching every hand, and like, so I guess it was a good idea, but the thing is I don't have a big enough bankroll to continue going back. Like, I went back and then I lost I went back a couple of extra times, lost everything, and now I'm back at 0. But I like playing in here because I can think about the cards and like the theory a little bit, but not actually. I get stressed. Like, it's not fun for me in real life.
Here's the flop.
In real
Like,
life.
it's
Baby
like, that's
Bubbles.
rent, that's, you know.
Baby Bubbles is saying that when she went to play her first live tourney, everyone targeted her and she felt quite harassed.
Player is all in.
Was that not you? Oh, is that a bad artist? Okay, so this is a bad artist who's saying this, who's actually a male. He said everyone targeted him, but he played loads in VR and he did handle it quite well, and he ended up cashing in second. So his experience in VR did set him up for success in RL.
I think what really it is that you spend way too much time sitting around on your couch or at your office playing this game, and you see a lot of hands. And I think that like that creates like a certain intuitive sense. And it's like, it's a bit virtual, but it's pretty close to real.
But
like, almost identical to.
Do you not find? I find when I go and play live now, because I play so much in real life, I just have this urge to just like do that with my chips.
Yeah.
I don't see. That's the thing is, I haven't really been going back. So.
And because I've mostly have played live in my life, I don't ever throw my chips into the pot.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't do it in real life. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I noticed you like placing them on the table.
Old, you don't like check your cards like across the room.
Yeah, just throw them.
Because I've never played in real life. So
I've done that drunk before in real life, where I've just picked my cards up and just thrown them.
It's like a habit for me now. Like, it takes real restraint.
Yeah. It was only a local game. It was fine. It wasn't in like it wasn't running deep in a big tournament.
But oddly enough, in all video game situations, like whether I'm playing VR poker or Red Dead Redemption, I behave very similarly in the game to what I would do in real life. Grand Theft Auto, I never liked them running over pedestrians or robbing banks or beating up prostitutes. Like that shit never appealed to me. Even in game form, I still like to be a good guy.
Were you
and
driving
I think for some
Daisy?
people, they like that. Yeah, no, I'm like, oh, there's a red light. Like, go ahead, everyone.
The turn.
And I think that, well, we're gonna draw here.
Bing Bubbles has got this. She has got it.
Yeah, she's got it.
One pair.
So in VR, I also act very similarly to the way I do in real life, which has gotten awkward a few times because people haven't really been able to tell that I'm joking a few times in VR. You know, which is on me, but you guys probably know I made someone cry the first time I played.
Yeah, you did. You did. Yeah.
Yeah.
He made a girl
I
cry.
cry like weekly, so
Player is
it
all
happens.
in.
I've never made someone cry in real life ever, and not. I mean, it was not intentional. I wasn't even being particularly mean. It was just a misunderstanding that I think wouldn't have happened had we been playing live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
The social cues in real life would have supplied the extra information needed.
Exactly, because what happened was she got quiet for like an hour, and I didn't know because it's VR. If I'd seen her face and known I had upset
I'm trying to
her.
think if that was me or not.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't
also
you.
really interesting about VR because the artificial intelligence is getting more and more all the time with the lip movements and the facial expressions.
Yeah.
And eventually, it's going to be a lot like.
Yeah, they're already testing full facial tracking, aren't they? Which means every time you blink, every time you smile, everything you do will be reflected on your avatar. I mean, it's a little way off, but it's in the works already.
Fold.
Oh, Amazon JB is in chat.
The flop.
Amazon JB says she'll remember that.
Good old.
Y'all just tuning in. Good
Jennifer Carter.
3 bears in.
Bet.
A bad artist says Joe Stapes makes me cry all the time from laughter. Boom boom.
Oh, that's very kind.
Can't open my flask. Okay.
The check is in the mail.
And Jennifer Carter says you are awesome,
Player
Joe.
folds.
Oh, no,
Oh, that's very
I
kind.
know
Thank you,
we've
guys.
lost Percy and Punk.
Glitched out.
Uh-oh.
No.
Oh, one girl.
Probably my
down.
girlfriend went over to her house and pulled her, unplugged her computer.
That's what she's done. She's like gone and pulled out the Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, no, we've lost your voice too, Drown. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Drown.
Can't hear you.
Player is all in.
I think when you sat out and came back, we lost your voice.
And the turn.
See, these are technical issues
boy.
you don't have to deal with at the EPT, Joe. You don't know how good you have it.
I'm gonna get my really loud drink. I bet this is a violation of etiquette to drink a really
Wow,
loud
and
drink.
Baby Bubbles plus 2 tapes. We are down
Sorry,
to
baby
4.
bubbles.
Okay, are you now in the bubble? After the baby bubble, we are bubble.
What was the buy-in for this?
Yeah, we're on the bubble now. 1 million, Joe. This is the biggest sit and go you can play.
All right. So why is it called Q7?
Because we have 7 queens. Q7.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the shorthand for the hand. So we have
Sounds like a
7
misprint.
queens in the deck. Oh, does it? So Joe came up with some amazing
Too many
names.
queens.
Can you remember the names you came up with, Joe? Can I just say that Q7 was stars approved? That's.
Yeah, no, that's going to be the big factor.
When-
I think I said something. There's a couple of really
There was some really
spicy
good
ones in there.
Yep. When puss comes to shove was definitely not stars approved. Although was my favourite, my personal favourite Joe Stapes suggestion.
It's interesting that you guys we're talking etiquette today because I just got hired as a poker consultant on a movie.
Oh wow.
Oh cool.
Which
And I'm
movie?
going to be going to the set. It's called The Card Counter. And it's shooting in Mississippi in the next couple of weeks. I'm probably going to end up going to set to make sure they get all the etiquette right.
Blinds are up.
Well, it's a movie, Joe, so you know that's not going to
You can
happen.
show them this video.
You're going to get steamrolled over for creative reasons. And it will
Well, so
still
far
be
they've listened to
terrible.
everything I've said. So
They have?
Well, that's
Wow.
Player is all in.
Wow, we're finally going to get a good poker movie.
Well, it's not really a full poker movie. There's a lot of other things going on it with some poker scenes. So we're gonna make sure they get the poker scenes right. Hopefully.
Nice.
But the card counter, that sounds a little bit more like blackjack than poker. I mean, what's
The
that?
first scene, it does. The first scene is a blackjack scene,
Okay.
but there
Okay.
are more poker scenes than.
Baby Bubbles is quite insistent that I ask you how you felt about the etiquette between Phil and Tony G when he said he was.
When he hadn't looked at his, said he hadn't
Yeah,
looked at his
Sen
hand.
looked at his hand.
Yeah. Yeah, I really hated that. I didn't care for that. There was like a weird line that I don't like being crossed, and that's when someone lies other than about their hand strength, or even sometimes when they do lie about their hand strength. There's sometimes when someone goes, "Hey, look, man, as a friend, fold. Like, seriously, as a friend, you just fold. I don't like that. I don't like it whether they mean it or whether they don't. I didn't like Tony saying that he hadn't looked at his hand when he really had. That, look, is within the rules. It doesn't break the rules, but it is a breach of etiquette. It's a bit of an angle.
Fold.
Now, as a player, I don't like it. As a viewer and a commentator, amazing. Loved it. Like, villains are interesting, and Tony is a villain.
Too big, it's too big.
I think Natty Ice is a very fitting name for you because I would have been very thirsty for you in college.
Fold.
Oh, wow. Where did that come from? What is that?
Just a little Valentine.
Oh my god. I'm blushing. Jeez.
He's been watching a DJ set.
People tell me I smell good all the time.
I'm definitely gonna get canceled for something I say in VR. That's like 100% gonna happen.
No.
Natty Ice does DJing in VR.
Joe Stapleton thinks harassment is cool as long as it's virtual.
We also this clip to your girlfriend, but you had to pay us 1 million real money to your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Fortunately or unfortunately, my girlfriend does not get worked up about those sorts of things.
It's a good job because I don't think she could with you if she did.
My girlfriend bought me a lap dance this weekend, and I had to run away because I almost puked.
Okay, that's the best story I've heard in a while.
I always puke during lap dances because I lose because I'm drunk, obviously, and then I can't see the room.
So you get motion sickness.
I get motion sickness because I can only see boobs, and so I end up having to tap the girl and be like, "I'm so sorry, but you have to let me up," and then I run to the bathroom and throw up.
Money well spent.
And yeah, you're doing okay here in VR. I mean, VR often makes people get motion sickness.
Yeah, VR doesn't bother me, but also I've never been drunk.
That's a call.
Oh, that's not true.
I mean, in VR, I've never been drunk.
The first time I played with you in VR, you sat with a bottle of champagne between your legs, drinking it out of the bottle. I remember, and I got very drunk that night.
Look, it takes a lot more than a bottle of champagne to get me drunk.
Oh, really? Half a glass, I'm anyone's.
Oh, yeah.
Player folds.
So, Guala, you want some lap dance?
Raise.
Are we going to
do I want a lap dance?
In this stream? Yeah. we do it in this stream?
How about you give Joe a lap dance? Because I'd feel too awkward and I might puke on you.
Call.
Quick call.
Whoa.
Player is all in.
Snap.
That's a call.
Snap.
So this is the anti-slow roll.
Oh, that was the perfect time to demonstrate slow rolling there, Joe.
At least I got my compliment in before that happened, because I'm in big trouble now.
Yep.
Why?
So, what do you think about playing when you're ill? Is that a breach of etiquette? I mean, you're touching cards and you're touching chips that other people are touching. You know, they don't want to get germs.
You should absolutely not be playing live poker when you're ill. Now, I do understand some situations, like let's say you entered like a 10K tournament and you get ill, like you gotta play, like you can't not, but you should be taking precautions to make sure that you're not, you're doing your absolute best to not infect other people. But yeah, no, you should. And also just in general, you know, you don't need to cough and sneeze at or on chips. You can keep it. What is this here?
Do you know what's one of the worst etiquette moves in VR? Is when the chips get broken up. If you have a split pot and the chips get broken up into tiny chips, so we have white ones and blue ones, and they're really small nominations that you can't color up unless you have the correct amount. They make really messy stacks, and then people will deliberately throw them in when they don't want to be called. And people will go, I'm not calling that because I don't want all of those horrible chips. They call them AIDS chips. Awful phrase. People will not call because they don't want those chips in their stacks.
The herpes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really, it's a thing.
That sounds like the least fun way to get herpes.
Oh, okay, all right. Cancer might be a better analogy because you can eventually get rid of cancer, but herpes, as I understand it, you can never.
Hey, look, almost 2/3 of people have herpes, okay? It's not that big of a deal.
Oh my god.
Get the violin here.
Jennifer, I don't know if you know,
Yeah,
but
well,
this
Smells is in Hong Kong, and passing germs in Asia right now is a little bit more of a serious topic than
Well,
it
yeah.
probably is just
Oh,
here
I'm not in Hong Kong, but I just want to tell you I'm from Hong Kong because it's my strategy for live casino is I will just start coughing when they're in a big pot and then tell them I'm from China.
She lives in Toronto, but she tells them all.
And run.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I thought about it, but I thought about in a big pot I start coughing and then take my Hong Kong passport out and pretend I'm tourist that escaped from China and play.
Yeah, everybody would leave the table. You would definitely.
I don't think I would ever believe you're from China.
Oh, really?
That strong Canadian accent you got? No way.
I don't have Canadian accent. What the fuck, man? I talk like Chinese, right? Can you?
Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I can hear it.
Oh. I don't have. Wait. I don't. He just make it up, man. Stop making it up, star. I don't speak like Canadian. I will never speak like Canadian. You mean that? How do you call poker card in Chinese? Pei.
Pei.
You win.
Cantonese, right? Poker card, Pei.
Pei.
Oh, you're doing so good, so you can find a Chinese wife now.
Yeah.
You can have a Chinese.
Where would I ever find a Chinese wife, though?
I don't know. Search online, AsianWife.com or something. You know.
AsianWife.com.
AsianWives.com.
How do you know about what pages I have bookmarked?
I don't know.
Come on.
Oh dear.
Those are so dumb.
You know this is a feminist table, Smells. You're lowering the tone of yeah.
It's definitely a feminist too.
You win.
Hold on a second, though. If it's feminism and if a woman wants to sell herself into marriage, that's her choice to make.
Good point, Joe.
Well,
Good point.
that
Well
choice
made.
is constrained by some structural,
Oh, there we go. Now we're getting into it.
Here we go.
And now I just fade away. Nice playing with you.
Black, Joe Stapes.
You win.
All right, we got 3 players left on the table. For those of you still watching at home, we have Joe Stapes in the chip lead at 5,600, Growler in second at 1,860, and Smells at 1,350. I'm now auditioning to be added to the Retina and Turtle Juice commentator team. Okay, it's a possible straight and a possible flush. It's a kind of wet board.
No, it's really wet now.
Raise.
Growler is staking her future on this hand with a huge raise of 825 and a pot. Oh, Stapes fold.
You win.
Shocking.
Does everyone here know Natty Ice is actually a VR DJ, and she spends her nights DJing in VR, and she's also an artist and does art exhibitions.
Fold.
Yeah, actually, right after this at 2.
Oh, good baby!
I'm doing a premiere. I
got you. I finally got you.
So how do you
Chip totals for those of you watching at home: 6,090 for Stapes, 3,835 for Growler.
How come you didn't
state
my
in the small blind? It's a limp. How is Growler going to treat that limp in the small blind? It's an immediate raise. She doesn't think twice.
Call.
And a call from Stapes. Here we go. And the pot's at 1,200 quickly, and what an ugly board. Look at that rainbow, folks. And a full.
You win.
We discover your new talent, Steven. We discover your new talent. You should just come and talk.
Yes, I'm trying to. Yes,
You're not bad. You're not bad at all.
Constantly working on. I'm gonna clip that for later. He just said I'm not bad at this. Wow.
I should go so far as to say maybe even good.
And a big pre-flop plays from Growler and a call from
Player
Stapes. It's a red, white, and blue board. France and the U.S. are celebrating. Okay.
Player folds. You win.
And
Rarely
Growler
is it
takes
good
down
for
another
France and the
significant
UK.
pot, and she has inched her way ahead of Stapes, folks. That's it. The Growler is now in the chip lead in the big blind.
Call.
Woo, woo.
Raise.
Joe is now not allowed to speak, or else
Yes,
it's
big pre-flop
mansplaining.
raise from Growler. Perhaps she did not see as I did. Stapes reached for his chips before he checked.
Oh no! I did not see that.
Folks.
It's
They're
because
both
I'm sitting
all
next to
in.
him, not opposite him.
Oh my goodness, we got queen versus king.
Come on.
Flush is alive.
Yes,
Oh, the king. Oh my lord. Oh, and there's the straight on the river.
Oh my god.
The straight on the river.
You know what that was? Domination nation, domination rotation, domination restoration.
It was back and forth. Stapes had it on the flop. Growler had it on the turn. Stapes got it on the river.
That was by far the craziest hand of the game.
That was exciting.
God, it's so hard to play so good.
And
I'm all in,
Growler is all in whether she wants to be or not.
I have the best hand available.
Oh, it's going to take a miracle.
The turn.
Nope, that's it.
The
She's
river.
drawn dead, folks.
Super beautiful,
Beautiful
glorious.
Beautiful.
We are not invited
Well-
again. You will not be invited again.
One day, guys, I'm gonna win a heads up.
3.6 million.
Well, is there anything you'd like to say, Joe, before we end the stream? Would you like to give a winner's speech? Can you throw that microphone, please, Diva?
I would like to dedicate this win to the ladies of Queen 7. And I'm really glad that all of your boyfriends and husbands gave you permission to be on this show. That's really great.
Wow.
Oh.
And I look forward to
I don't have a husband. I don't have a boyfriend, so
well, someday, because that is the peak of what can be achieved.
I don't need permission because I don't have one. I don't.
I'm kidding. Obviously, a lot of fun. Thanks, guys, for having me. I hope we had some good discussion, and I love this. Very clever idea. Please please give my my compliments to whatever man came up with it.
I do have a quick question, Joe, because you're the person that's most likely to know.
Yes.
We think that this is the first ever all-female poker show produced, like regularly produced. It's a weekly show. Do you know of another one?
I do not know of another one, but
Yes,
I will say
it's
this: I'm
official.
often surprised at the other things that have gone on that I am unaware of. So,
No,
just
you
hey,
could have
it
just
doesn't
stopped.
matter if you're the first and only. Doesn't matter if you're the first and only. Just be the best.
Well, there you go. Officially, we are the first, only, and the best. You heard it here from Joe Stapes, who knows what it's like to live as a princess, as we saw earlier on the stream. So I'd like to say thank you for watching. Thank you so much to Joe for taking part. Thank you to all of the ladies for being here. And I think Natty just wanted to say something really quickly about an event she has coming up. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I actually did an event on Saturday where I DJ'd in my own art in Wave, which is like a music festival experience. And, you know, shameless plug here, I spent all day yesterday editing a video from multiple vantage points with all the labels and stuff like that. So if you want to check that out, I'll post the link in chat, and it's starting in 10 minutes.
And we will
Where can
add
we
it
find
to
it, Natty?
the channel.
We'll put the link in the chat.
And I'll add the link to the video as well. Okay, thank you,
Thank you so
ladies.
much.
Goodbye,
That was
everyone
awesome.
in RL.
Good game.
And we'll see you all next week.